getting some tea. We'll be starting in just one more minute. I got my tea. Mr. Rain's getting his tea. Hopefully you can all hear me okay. So let me know if there's any sound issues. It was quite a rush getting everything ready at the last minute. Got ice cream. Oh. Okay, we're just about ready.
Teresa must be in. She's got ice cream, huh? Somebody said ice cream?
Actually, it was Mother of Many Horses has her ice cream. Okay, so let's get rid of the center picture here. And of course, we have our Yarrow to the right, to the left, and in the center. And are you ready, Patrick?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Kind of a mess. My skirt is muddy, but at least it's dry now. We've been out tromping around on some property, and it was, of course, wet and rainy. Well, that's what it does in rain country. What do you know? So, anyway, hello, everyone.
Greetings.
So, going on just a couple minutes early. I guess Dirt Patch Heaven was having some internet problems. Normally, I'm watching for that, but I didn't get to see any of their show. Because we were gone a good chunk of the day, and like I said, tromping around in the rain on a chunk of property we're looking at. We're always looking, Wee Tree. We're always looking, and then
it's nice to dream.
This particular one already has a actually a pretty spacious sized cabin on it, but it needs a lot of work. But it's kind of cool.
Unfortunately, everything costs money. So we
can't talk them into giving it to us for free, but it already has it needs a lot of work inside and outside, but it already has 2 wood stoves. One is a cook stove, and then the other one's just a freestanding stove for heating. And so you know, one's on one end of the cabin, one's on the other. So man, you can get a lot of heat going if you did that. But even got a clothesline set up high.
Definitely a fixer-upper.
Yeah. But the clothesline idea is pretty cool on the inside, the way they've got it. So, yeah, not for free. Can you really? What's the scoop?
Yeah, what up with that?
We are sort of dreaming southeast. Totally opposite of where we are now, somewhat. I don't want to go where it's real hot and dry, where the climate is exactly opposite of where we have, because I've learned how to work with what we have. I would like to go somewhere middle ground, you know. I wouldn't mind having 4 seasons, actually having 4 seasons instead of just a season of rain, where one season's warm and one's actually 2 seasons, a warm rain and a cold rain.
Well, we got 4 seasons. We have cold rain, warm rain, that's spring and summer. And then we have fall and winter, which is
more cold rain,
ice and rain, and more rain and a little more ice. And
Patrick, that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's more like 3 seasons here.
Well, winter and spring, there's a little bit of difference here.
Well, the funny thing is, and I've shared this before, that where I grew up here in Washington State, we actually did have 4 seasons, and they were very distinct, and they were 3 months apiece, like they should be. And then I moved to Seattle, and that was definitely different. Then I came here, and it was even more different. So it's funny how one state... Whoa, London Worms is in here.
What time is it in London?
Did you know, London Worms tried to catch a boat over here, but they were really suspicious of a worm with luggage. They, you know, said, no way, man, I'm not coming over. So I see Dutch is in here too. Barbara Bradley from in Georgia, or George, like George Washington. We actually have a city in Washington called George.
George Washington.
Yeah. It's funny because it took me a while to get that. Yeah,
That's
George Washington.
hot and dry over there.
Yeah, and that's hot and dry and flat. So we have, we have a lot of mountains and green around us. And of course, Teresa Dean and her ice cream. Okay, so we'll just chat for a few more minutes. I want people to come in before we get started. And there's Brad, and there's Cherish, as in Cherish Each Day. Now I don't know if that's your first name, but that's a nice name altogether. Cherish Each Day.
Oh, wow, catchy.
Liz Searcy, Ozboy 55, Mud Pie Girl.
So I am in
Brenda's
the middle
Homestead.
of
Hey Brenda, you changed your name. Sorry. Go ahead.
right in the middle of Techie World. And I used to send communication through homing pigeons, 2 cans in a string, horse and buggy mail. But look what I got. I have
Ooh.
Mr. Techie. Call me
Yeah.
Mr. Techie. And my head hurts from all of the technology that
And I was the one that was like, I'm never going to have
exposed to
an
on
Apple
this.
device in my house. And he has an iPhone.
It's scary.
I have a thing about Apple. Yes. So I have this thing. I think it's
666,
an
Mom.
evil corporation. Do you know that Apple's first computer sold for $666?
So how many
And
cords did
the
it have?
symbol was Adam and Eve in the garden. That's why the apple. Anyway. I'm weird that way. But it's true. Look it up. $666. It's true. It's true. It's truth. I'm not lying. And, it's funny because now...
Well, how much memory did it have?
Oh, gosh, I don't know that part. I don't care.
I thought you knew everything.
Probably had 666 kilobytes. Okay. So...
My first computer was a 286 DX266.
That was 1990 something.
And it cost me
$3,800.
$3,800.
That was $3,500.
Okay, $3,500.
Yeah.
But I could do AutoCAD on it, and I had a digitizing tablet.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot remember. We were in the megabytes, not the gigabytes.
Yeah, we didn't have
we
gigabytes
had like
on that
500.
one.
I think it was like 500 megabytes.
I don't know. I don't remember. I do know that our next computer, we paid $1,000 less, and that was so it was like $2,500, and it had 80 gigabytes. And that was like, woo, that was a lot.
So Dutch asked us how much firewood that we burned. We burned about 5.
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah, we need a more
A lot that would hold
like a
5
rocket
cord.
mass heater.
Yeah. Well, rocket mass heaters I think are a good idea.
Take up a lot of room though.
I think they're something that will store heat, but you still have to, put energy into them before you get energy out of them. But they're
True.
good for keeping a constant heat, and some folks with rocket mass heaters may differ in opinion, but I do think that they're probably in the bigger realm of things are more efficient. And I hear that they save a lot of money.
Yeah, like a tenth of the firewood.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
That's what I hear.
We go through a lot. A few years ago, though, we came into a good score on firewood, and it was enough to last us 5 years. But that was a few years ago, so we need to start getting ahead again because now we're down to only 2 years again, or something. 2 years, 2 to 3 years of firewood on hand.
We got about 2 years, two and a half years.
Yeah. And of course, we're at that time of the year where we're burning the most, and it's just, today was really cold.
We have a conveyor belt that actually goes to the wood burner.
That would be me.
Yeah.
That would be me. I'm the conveyor belt. Going out and getting the firewood and bringing it in, and then putting it in the, bringing it up here, and then bringing it to the wood stove. I'm the conveyor belt. Yeah. But, he does chop it up.
What'll I bring it into?
4 megabit hard drive.
Wow. It's a screaming machine. Well, when I went to go make the first payment on that $3,500 setup, it was a custom built machine. And I sat down and the guy says, check that computer out over there. Okay, and I sat in front of it and started touching the keyboards, and bang, all come information, waiting for my next command. And I said, well, what do you got in this thing? He said, that's the new Pentium chip. So I had made my first payment, and I'd already been outgunned by, it's amazing.
Hey, Winter's in here. Hi, Winter. 1984. Well, and I remember in high school we did do some stuff in my music class. We had to compose some songs on a computer, so that was interesting. So, and that was, yeah. How come your chat stuff shows up faster than mine?
Because I got the better computer. I guess.
Not fair.
We tree.
Actually, I was just thinking how it's funny how, there was a time we actually had to make payments on a computer. That was just the first one.
Well,
I think we paid cash for every computer after that, but
yeah, that first one
we made payments on that first one. And that was the year that my second son was born. So that was 1995.
Starving college student, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. So yeah. Oh yes.
5.5.
And he was in he was in college.
5 1/4 floppy, yeah.
Yeah, and that's an interesting story about.
Actually, that computer came with a floppy drive and a disk drive. So.
It did. That's right.
I was styling.
Well, and that's really interesting because he was going to college while I was pregnant with Justin, and that's our second. And I don't know. Maybe I won't get into this story. Anyway, he was in college. I was, my water broke. He was in class, a ways away from where we are right now, because he had to catch a bus to the college. And so I was getting ready to head in there to the hospital, and we were calling around trying to find him, and he had just changed his classes.
Hey.
Mail lady. Mail's been coming late lately. It must be that because of the time of year. Usually it's here by now. So anyway, they couldn't find him anywhere because he had just dropped a class. Shush! I don't have my water bottle handy. Sorry. And was changing his schedule. And so I'm calling around, and the lady says, and I'm trying to say, I'm going into the hospital. I'm getting ready to go into labor. My water just broke. And I need to find my husband. And so I told her his name. She's like, we can't find him anywhere. And then someone heard her. Someone else in the office says, oh, I know who you're talking about. Or was it you? You were standing there. Oh, you were standing there because you had just got done changing your classes around. And you say, well, who are you looking for? And then they said his name, and he's like, oh, that's me. And so it worked out really good, and he met us at the hospital. I mean, we got there at the same time. It was pretty cool. So stop, Luna. How dare the mail lady bring the mail directly to our door? Stop. I think I need to get the water bottle. It's right over there. All right, yeah, right there. Sorry, people. Okay, well, we're 10 minutes in now to our time. Sorry. 1983, that was the year that he graduated too. So, anyway, I wanted, before I got started on our herb topic for the night, and hi Deep South, and there was a couple other people like Tim Beverly, I wanted to say hi to, Southwind Technical Academy, Bob Homestead, Dolphin Man, hey you guys, good to see you in here. I meant to show this last week, and I'm really bummed that I still have not had time to read it because I have literally been swamped with crochet orders and sewing orders. And just when I get caught up, bam, another huge order comes in. I'm not kidding. I just got an order for 6 aprons and 2 crocheted butterflies. And then another lady ordered a skirt, and another lady ordered an apron, and it's just not stopping. Oh, and somebody else, I get home from our stomping around on that property to find out somebody else was wanting to order a pair of fingerless gloves. And that's like crazy. And I just caught up. I mean, like, while we were on the road, I just caught up on my hat orders. But I'm not complaining.
She doesn't have any fingerprints anymore.
Yeah, my fingers. So, but anyway, I have not had time to do any reading other than skimming through things about herbs. And I wanted to show you all that I got Esther Amory's new book. It came the day it was released because I did a pre-order. So I'm really anxious to give it a try. It's called What Falls from the Sky. I'm sure people, you know, anyone who knows who Fauchmatic is should know who Esther Amory is. And you might have seen her videos where she was talking about her new book. So I'm really anxious to find some time to read this. And another book I got recently, and some of you may have read it, and this one's well used. I found it on Amazon. It is Almost Amish. And I thought it just, I heard some really good things about this book, so I'm really anxious to try to start reading this one as well. So just a couple of books. I can't really, you know, review them or give a recommendation because I haven't read them yet, but I've heard really good things. So there's that. Now, did you have anything you wanted to say before I get delving into the herb?
I just said hello, everyone.
Oh.
On my little device here.
Oh, look at there. You did, didn't you?
I did. I'm figuring this out. I'm a 286 in a Pentium world.
You know, I'm wondering if the reason my chat is a little slower is because I'm using Firefox. You know, and here's a whole nother topic. I can't seem to stop. I keep going from one topic to another. But I'm just wondering if anyone else, I have always, for as long as I can remember, been once Firefox was released as a browser, it has always been my favorite. And I don't like Google. I don't even use Google as a as a search engine. I use Start Page because it's way more private than Google. It uses Google, but the way it works is if you haven't looked up Start Page, look up Start Page. It's a really great search engine. That's my search engine. However, back to the Firefox thing. I have found out I was having issues moderating. I couldn't delete posts and stuff like that, and I've been wondering what the world was going on. It was Firefox that was the problem. It wasn't my computer. It was Firefox. And Google Chrome lets me do that. Now, I still have things I like about Firefox better, but I keep having issues with it, and I'm just wondering if anyone else has been having a lot of problems. I see that Teresa says Firefox sucks. Now, I've always liked it until recently. It's only been recently it's been giving me issues as far as a browser goes. Now, as far as a search engine, Start Page is the best. I see someone else agrees with me. So look up startpage.com. And you can get a very, very private browser. It doesn't store, you can read about it in there, and it will explain how it works. And so it doesn't store any of those searches like Google does. It saves all that stuff and it goes into a data bank. Start Page, it deletes all of that stuff. So
before you get started, London Worms had a question. I don't know what she's asking though. I think she might be asking how much wood that we burn.
We're assuming she. There's so much logwood about. Have you guys tried? What is that? I don't know.
Okay, so we burn about 5 cord of wood a year, and the species of wood that we burn is typically fir, hemlock,
and alder.
I like to burn Doug fir the best, but better than that if I can get some spruce limbs. That burns the best of all of it.
Yeah, when we got this 5 years worth of firewood, and we got all at once, we're still in the process of sawing it all up too. We still have logs out there because we brought them home as logs.
I thought one of these days I would surprise you and buy you like a little sawmill.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Buy me a sawmill. He had a sawmill before. We're running out of room quickly. We're going to have to get some more property. That's just all there is to it. But I can't remember what I was I was saying, but like when we got, because we got that whole big score that we got, and it took a couple of weeks to get it all transported from where it was to here, and it had hemlock, the three that you listed, right? Alder, and
hemlock, alder, and
spruce.
No,
not spruce.
No, there wasn't any spruce in it.
What am I forgetting? What's
hemlock, alder, and fir.
Fir. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, anybody who knows anything about these woods, you got to burn your alder first. Get it burnt up first, because it will rot the quickest.
It burns fine if it's dry, but
yeah,
there's a lot of creosote in it, especially if it's wet. Like any wood's going to have creosote buildup, sit up your chimney. But alder's probably one of the worst for that. But so we like to keep that good and dry and burn it fast because it's the first to rot.
Hey, there's Grizz. Hi, Grizz. And Full Spectrum Survival. Brad and or Kelly. Okay, while you're there, FSS, is Kelly spelled Kelley? I'm very particular. I like to make sure I spell people's names right, and maybe that's because I've been a dance and martial arts teacher for 28 years or 27 years, how many years, and I was very particular about making sure everybody's name was spelled correctly. So I want to, when I say hi Kelly or whatever, I want to make sure I'm spelling her name right. It just bothers me if I don't do it, even though it doesn't bother me when people spell my name H-I-E or H-I-D-I or whatever. I don't care. I just care when I'm spelling everybody else's names. Okay. Thank you, Brad. Now I know. I just keep spelling it both ways, going, well, one of them will be right, so half the time I'm right. Hi, Quake Lake. Okay, so anyway, we'll get into this, and I don't know that I'll be able to say a whole lot, just because, not that there's not a whole lot, but because it's going to be hard for me to stick on one thing. Yarrow is an incredibly diverse, maybe is the word I'm looking for, medicinal herb. And it's one that everybody can and should grow. There's very few places in the U.S. that the yarrow will not grow. It has to be very funny. Extremely, how do I spell my first name? Well, it's German, so if you know anything about German, you know it would be H-E-I-D-I. And that's why Urban Girl Maria had a problem pronouncing it, because she's trying to say it as if it was a Spanish. And I actually went to a Spanish-speaking church for a couple of years, believe it or not, but I'm not fluent in Spanish. But I know enough about Latin, Spanish, Italian, and French to basically have a good understanding of languages in general and how they work. So, yeah, H-E-I-D-I, just like the movie, the book. Yeah, so anyway, yarrow. Okay, now as you can see in the pictures, it has little teeny tiny white, it's kind of an umbrella. Oh, you picked a yarrow leaf.
Check it out.
You see it? Get it in
I gotta
there.
find a camera first.
Oh, that's a pretty good view. That's a yarrow leaf. Very, very feathery leaves. I love the leaves. They're just, yeah, they're like feathers. And so you can see and it's very soft. So a lot of times when I dehydrate these, I'll dehydrate the whole leaf, but typically this woody part, though, is usable. A lot of times, because this will take a long time to dry, I just strip this down like that, and the smaller leaves, then I'll dry whole and then just crumble them up when they're dry. And the whole plant is usable. I didn't know until recently that the root was usable. And there was a couple of videos that, in particular, that I found that were incredibly, the one, and I gave WeTree the links ahead of time, and the one was, I can't remember the name of the page now, it started with a P. Anyway, he packed, in just like under 10 minutes, he packed tons of information about the yarrow, and he still didn't get it all in there. And so I would say yarrow should be on your top 5 list of medicinal herbs to grow, because it has such a broad range of benefits, both internally and externally. Um, yeah, and you do have to be careful because, from a distance, like, let me show you the centerpiece again, the center photo again. It can look like, looks a little bit like Queen Anne's lace, or maybe a carrot, or what is it, poison hemlock? Is that what that one is called? But the leaves are partly what makes it so distinguishable. And to me, I like the scent of the flowers. I wouldn't say that it's really strong, but it does have a nice scent. And it, I don't even know where to start. I need to just go by a list because I can't even think where to start. I got it mostly because of the skin benefits. And let me do it this way. Let me just share with you the ways I've used it when needed it. So I've explained before that a lot of times I'll look up herbs, trying to find good medicinal herbs to grow, and like, oh, this one sounds good because it has a lot of benefits. I plant it, I grow it, and then when I need it, that's when I find out what is really good for. So, hey Maria, so yeah, spend time with your guests. You can always come back and watch later. Besides, it's easier to watch the next day anyway.
And besides that, are you talking about Maria?
Yeah, Maria.
Besides that, you're a distraction.
I thought he was going to say something. Besides that, you need to go serve your guests some chicken tea and some road apples.
Take them out snipe hunting.
And that too.
With that being said,
you've shown that one before, I believe.
Have I shown this one before?
I think so. Mr. Rain's favorite mug, so suiting.
Apropos.
Yeah, very apropos. Thank you, Wee Tree. She put the Latin name in there. So, anyway, so here's what happened. I'm growing this thing, and I know it's good for skin stuff. And this one lady, a friend of mine, she puts it on Facebook, and this was a couple years ago. She's like, okay, I burned my finger really bad. I need a quick fix right now. And people were putting up this crazy stuff like yellow mustard and all this, and she tried it all. None of it helped. And I'd never heard of the yellow mustard thing myself. I'm thinking, yellow mustard, good grief. And so I messaged her and I said, hey, I have some Yarrow. It's supposed to work. I hadn't really tried it myself much, but I think I might have tried it on a small burn and it worked really good. And she goes, okay, I'm coming over. She came over. By the time she got here, I had the Yarrow all, I didn't chew it because I didn't know how she'd feel about my spit on her finger. So I got my little mortar and pestle and ground it up and put some fresh aloe juice, because I grow aloe vera, in there, and put it on her finger. Stopped burning as soon as it made contact and healed right up. It never started hurting again. Well, which she's like, I've got to have some of this stuff. So the Yarrow will grow crazy. So I gave her a whole bunch, just sent it home with her, and told her next year I'll give you some plants that you can transplant, and which I did, and I think she's growing it pretty good. Well, anyway, Yarrow grows really easy just about anywhere. And after I got familiar with the plant, because I was growing it, I had bought the seeds from Baker Creek. We go to the beach one day, and I'm looking around going, and it was in the shade. It was in a really shady area. I'm like, that's Yarrow right there. Even though Yarrow prefers full sun and loose, well-drained soil, it'll grow just about anywhere. It'll adapt, which is so cool. Well, now I'm trying to read. I need to let him read. Do you got your little thing so you can write stuff down?
My techie device is offline, Mom.
Your techie device.
So I have to go back to the original.
His iPhone. So the other day, I'm washing out a jar, and I knew the jar had it's one of those jars that you hate throwing a whole jar away because it has a chunk taken out of the lid. You don't use it for canning, but you use it for other things. And I knew the broken spot was there. What are you looking for? A pencil?
Something to scribble with.
I had a pencil right here. I was just using it.
Well, where did it go?
It's right here.
We're falling apart, folks.
It's right here. So, and I knew the broken spot was there, but me being me, I'm washing and cut my hand or my finger or something, and I felt it, and I'm like, great, I'm stupid. And so I looked at it, and it's like, well, it's not very deep, maybe it won't bleed. But you know how those real smooth cuts are? Once they start bleeding, they bleed a lot. And I'm watching it, I'm going, I'm never going to get these dishes done. So I remembered that the Yarrow has styptic properties, which means it will stop blood flow. And it'll, they used to, like, I don't know if it was, I think it was the Native Americans used to actually shove it up their nose to stop nosebleeds. And so I went and grabbed a leaf. Thankfully it was still fresh, and chewed it up and stuck it on there, and then just kind of wrapped something around it just to hold it in place. And sure enough, the bleeding stopped immediately. And I don't know how long it took, because I had it wrapped up and I didn't check it until later, and I took it up. I'm like, well, good, that's great. It just stopped the bleeding, and the next day you wouldn't even known I had a cut there. So it was so great. But yes, it is antiseptic. It is antibacterial. It is here. Let me go to one of my lists, and I recommend. I don't know if we found that. I found that one link that I sent her. There was 2 different videos. One was by Mountain Rose Herbs with Rosemary Gladstar talking about it, and then the other one was this guy. I cannot remember the name. I just subscribed to him when I found out how thorough his videos are. But boy, he just had tons of info in there. So let me just read a list I got off of Herb Wisdom, and then I've got one from Wellness Mama is another good place to go find herb profiles, and then she talks about how she uses them. So, it's also a decongestant, antiseptic, astringent, expectorant, anti-inflammatory, promotes good digestion. Basically, anything you can think that you need it for, it'll probably work. You just got to look up how the different ways that it's used. Now, there was a story in here in Rosemary Gladstar's book I wanted to read, just a real quick one. And thank you, Weetree, for the links. Where she's talking about, okay, so Yarrow has antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, and astringent properties, and is highly regarded for healing wounds, bruises, and sprains. Recently, when herbalist Matthew Wood was visiting my home, one of my students slipped and sprained her ankle quite severely. As her ankle began to swell and turned black and blue, Matthew quietly gathered a handful of fresh yarrow flowers, mixed them with elder flowers, and applied this fresh poultice directly to the swelling. Within a few minutes, literally before our eyes, the swelling subsided, and the young woman reported that the pain diminished substantially. So, and that reminds me that I had also read that yarrow is a good replacement for arnica if you don't have arnica. Now, I don't know how well arnica grows. I'm not growing it, but I don't know enough about it as far as growing it, how well it would do. But I do know that yarrow is very, very easy to grow. It self-seeds, and it also spreads through the roots. And so, and again, every part of the plant is medicinal and usable, just like the dandelion. So a good one to get. Oh, it also repels mosquitoes. Mosquitoes hate it. So I remember we were kind of getting into, even though we haven't had cable TV or anything like that for a long time, thanks to Netflix, we did get hooked on some of the survival type shows, like
and YouTube.
And YouTube. What was there's a few of them that we liked the dual, what was it, dual survival with I can't even think of their names now. You guys, somebody out there knows. The guy from Arizona and Dave Canterbury, and I can't think of the other guy's name.
Dude that ran around.
Yeah, ran around barefoot all the time. And then there was another one called Man, Woman, Wild, and there was this one where they were out somewhere, and she gathered a bunch of yarrow, and she knew enough about herbs, and she was going to lay them on their pillows, or under their pillows, under their heads for helping to keep mosquitoes away. And I'm like, oh, that is so great. So, excuse me, my tea. I had to talk, and I got nodules on my vocal cords. That's why I don't sing like I used to anymore.
Do you have a favorite reference for learning from? Quake Lake.
As far as herbs go, I do keep finding myself coming back to the same pages a lot, which is Wellness Mama, and as far as web pages go, and the Herb Wisdom. And that's only because when I do a search, I put it right into the browser, and I'll see what pulls up, and then I go to the one that says nothing about MD in the name, or med, or anything that I could relate to Big Pharma. I don't go to those ones.
Let's not talk Big Pharma now.
Yeah. I go to anything I know
down.
is going to be more focused on the actual natural things of the herb, because you go to any of the Big Pharma sponsored ones, they're going to talk down the herb because they want to talk up their drugs. So, and then thank you, Wee, for putting in John Bergman's YouTube page. I did ask her. That was one that I want in here on a regular basis, because I was really glad that he changed his YouTube page to actually say Dr. John Bergman, because he really is a doctor, and he's a chiropractor. However, he does weekly classes on YouTube that cover every health issue you may have under the sun, and he's been doing this for like 5 years. So I can almost guarantee you're gonna find, you just go to, you guys are all YouTubers, you should know how it works. Go to his page, go to the little search thing, look up fibromyalgia, look up thyroid. He has tons of stuff on these issues. Arthritis, sleep problems, I don't care what it is. And oh my goodness, I have learned so much from him. And I was just talking to Brad the other day from Big Family Homestead, and I told one of the things I told him is I really wish I would have found his channel back before I took myself off the thyroid medications. I think I would have had a much easier transition, because there was about a 2-year period where I had a real tough time transitioning. I kind of went way down. My immunities went way down. I was catching everything under the sun, and then I built back up again. But it was a tough road for me. But I did it. But had I been able to follow him first, yeah, I think it would have helped me a lot. So please go check out his YouTube channel. So that's one of my shout outs, and I'll get back to, I got a couple more channel shout outs I want to do, and I meant to do those first and I forgot. So let me see, there was a couple other things I wanted.
You should shout out my channel. I've only got 50 subscribers.
Oh yeah, poor Mr. Rain. He has one video up that we did together, but we're putting his playlists in there too. So, so anyway, there are so many great herb books out there, and Weetree recommended a bunch to me, and I'm going to be looking into those. And I'm going to also be investing in more herb books, because I highly, again, when it comes to information, you need to have your hard copies. So this book and the other one I always recommend, it's not in here, the Rodale one. Those are a couple of the ones I have on hand now, but I say get as many as you can, because you're gonna like she doesn't have every herb in this book, but she has. The reason I like this book for a starter, well, it does say beginner's guide, is that it's just got the nice pictures. It gives you a good explanation of the herb without going too detailed and kind of going over your head. Plus she gives you recipes for each herb that you can use for various things. And that's why I recommend this one a lot. But I also think it's really important that you get a good, thick encyclopedia on your herbs. And so I'm looking at a few more books that I want to get my hands on. And then when it comes to web pages, when I find a good one, like herbwisdom.com, Mountain or Wellness Mama, I've invested in some more of these. Yeah, invested, like it's not expensive. Get yourself some 3-ring binders, And then because I just started this, it's not organized yet. I only have a few. But as I print these off, I've been putting them in here so that I have this as well for information. Because don't just stick to one book. Don't just stick to one web page. You want to look at all of them and cross-reference. It's really important to cross-reference. And also, in case you haven't seen, I'm sure most of you know about these things. These little sleeves. I get mine at Costco because this is something I can order online through Costco. A lot of people probably don't know. If you don't have a Costco near you, you can order from Costco online. And they don't have everything they have in the store, but they do have most of your office supplies. And these little protectors are great for any like, especially for recipe books like mine. When I make my own recipe books, I like to have these because I can wipe them clean. You guys have all seen me in my kitchen. Yeah. So
you guys don't see me in the kitchen when she's cooking. I don't want flour.
He's afraid
all
of
over
getting
me.
hurt.
Well, that too. Frying
flying
pans,
everywhere.
rolling pins everywhere. Knives, forks, sharp implements, heat, and I can't.
Yeah. And don't forget the skillets. Did you say skillets?
I did.
The skillets. Okay.
No.
Just making
Frying
sure.
pans.
Frying
thing,
pans.
right?
Yeah. The cast iron. So, I don't know. We may down the road put some more videos on Mr. Rain's channel. It was mostly just set up so that he could get in here and chat and stuff.
I was just playing with y'all, you know. Yeah, I've got a little, I don't know, a little channel description down there that kind of sends everybody off over to this channel here. I joke around a lot, but I appreciate you subscribing. That's great. Yeah.
I wanted to get, I want to say a couple more things about Yarrow. Again, I'm just trying to give you a recommendation. This is an herb you need to grow in your garden. Absolutely. And look it up yourself because there's too much information out there about it for me to share, and even if I went on for a whole hour, I still wouldn't get it all in there. But I'll tell you another story. Our old dog, and I've talked about her before, she was Chihuahua. She always managed to scratch her eyes on something and then get infections. And I remember knowing that Yarrow was good for skin stuff, and I remember reading a lot of stuff about it, and I remember thinking, I wonder if it would make a good eye wash. And so what I did was I put in Yarrow for eye infections in my browser, and sure enough, I found it. And so I went and made a Yarrow tea, and I put it right in her eyes, and it really helped heal up her eye infection like right away. The problem with the Yarrow tea, then I started going with colloidal silver for her, because if you make up a big batch of Yarrow tea and then you even stick it in your refrigerator, it's going to go bad after a while. So I am not in a place where I can grab the links. It'll be too time consuming. So if okay. But I'm just letting you know, I would post the links myself, but it's too hard for me to get in there and try to gather up the links. So anyway, so yeah, the Yarrow worked great, and I've used it for just as an eye wash, or you get dry eyes. It's really good. And then as I went back to study some more, and I'm going to tell you something, doing these herb profiles every week forces me to have to get in there and learn more about each herb, and I learn something new every time, and it's so cool. And I'm like, see right there, that it was common for it to be used as an eye wash for animals. Veterinarians would use it, and for humans. So I was like, see, I knew. Sometimes the more you learn about herbs, certain things will become instinctual. Like, I just know this has got to work for this. But if you're using it on someone else or your pet, obviously you want to go double check before you do it, because it may not be safe. But that's why I did that. But anyway, I think there was another story about the Yarrow that, yeah. We just don't have a whole lot of illnesses and stuff, but it's sure nice to know, like that time that I got my first wasp sting ever in my whole life. I'm out in the garden, and I felt something, and I did one of these, and it was a wasp, and I smashed, I pinched it, and so of course it stung me. And so I'm like, oh, I just got stung by a yellow jacket. So I went and I'm standing there in the garden and looking at the plantain, and I grabbed a leaf and chewed it up and stuck it on there, and immediately, well, I should say within a couple minutes, the stinging was gone. But I was feeling the stinging getting stronger and stronger until I put that on there, and then it just did this whole reverse and never even left a mark. It was the coolest thing. Okay, you had something funny.
Are you sure that it wasn't the power of positive thinking?
It could be. Now, honestly, I don't get into the whole power of the mind stuff, okay? There's a point where it goes a little bit too far, and because of my beliefs, I don't get into all that. However, there is proof that if you believe something will work, that does have an effect on how well it's going to work for you. There's been a lot of studies done on this, so double-blind studies and using placebos and using this and using that, and if you believe it's going to work, then chances are it's going to work. So
when Mrs. Rain beats me all the time, or if I go through the kitchen, she's cooking something and something hits me upside the head, I always say happy thoughts. It helps. Yeah, happy thoughts.
Especially, or when I give you some of that nasty tasting feverfew tincture. Remember, it's good for you.
It's good for me. It's good for me. Yeah.
Honey is also great to stop bleeding. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Dolphin Man. Okay, so I'm just trying to catch up. Did you see any? Are there any questions that we may have missed? Thank you, Marty.
All the questions that I start to write down, she answers. So I've kind of been lackadaisical on asking questions.
Okay,
putting questions.
I'm always jumping.
You're doing great. You're doing good.
All right, let me get to my channel shout outs before I totally forget, because it was like I said, I don't like to go anywhere on Thursdays because I need to get my chores done. I need to get everything ready and be calm before the show starts because I get too excited. You can see me all wound up. But then we were gone and then I hadn't eaten all day. Got home at an hour and 15 minutes before the show was supposed to start, and I hadn't eaten yet, so I'm trying to wolf down some dinner and get the light set up and the mic and all my information together, and I'm like, so I feel pretty disjointed tonight. But anyway, so my channel shout outs for tonight are JS Farms. JS Farms, if you guys haven't been to her channel, Stephanie, she has, especially when it comes to livestock, she knows everything, just like J&J Acres. They know everything about this stuff. And so if you're like us and you don't have any livestock yet, but you're working towards getting that or considering getting that, you need to check out these people's channels, especially in their live shows, like with JS Farm. She talks a lot about her cows, what's the best breed for this and that, and chickens. And the chickens are obviously going to be our very first thing. And those of you who have been following us for long enough, you'll see that we've been working on our chicken coop when it's not pouring down rain, which is now. So it'll be months before we're able to finish that out. But
you need about 50 young bodies to mix concrete on.
Yeah, he's got, yeah. And so during this time, I'm trying to figure out what breed's going to be best for our area. And I know, I know what a lot of people around here do, but I want to know what I get is going to be right for us. And so going to her channel and listening to her live show, I've learned a lot. And so that's a shout out to JS Farm. So go check her channel out. And she's live on Mondays. Well, you'll have to go to the homesteadnetwork.com showtimes, and it'll say time. I think it's like 10 o'clock my time she comes on. So that would be what, 1 o'clock Eastern? Anyway, go check that out and you'll see. I just really enjoy her, and she just has a nice, easy, smooth, not like me, I'm too hyper. She's very calm, very easy to listen to. And then the other one is, it would be just the opposite and more like me, is Off Grid Nation. I really, really appreciate Tommy and the information that he puts out there. I don't know, maybe it's because we're both Italians and we both get pretty excited about the topics we get on. And but anyway, he's one of the few in the network that really talks about the political stuff. And I know a lot of you probably don't agree with them, but I do, because we're pretty much on the same page as Tommy. So that's part of the reason why I really like his stuff, and he's putting information out there that a lot of other people are not. So so that's Off Grid Nation. And then of course, hand in hand with that would be Off Grid Kid. He's really been coming a long ways. His shows have been getting smoother, and he's been getting better at kind of keeping up with the chat, and yet still staying on topic. I've been very impressed with this young man. Smart kid. So anyway, there was that. And I was just going to skim through. I did write a list of possible subjects in case we didn't have enough questions. Okay. So let me check questions. So Carol. I don't know, is he answering that? No. Okay, so we're going to do concrete, and then, I considered the deep litter method, but he's he's got some pretty good ideas. He's already got the foundation poured, and he's got to put the floor in and have it. You can explain it better.
Oh, I got footings and stem walls poured around the perimeter, three sides, and the idea is to make this thing a fortress, so dogs and raccoons can't get in there, and it's also going to be easy to clean. So it's a work in progress. Again. Right now I have to pour the slab, well, not right now, but I have to pour the slab, and it's probably 8 feet by 10, 12 feet. It's not a huge area, but in order to make that floor smooth and right and slanted the right way, me and a wheelbarrow, I gotta find an alternative. Not so bad when you're pouring a stem wall or a footing. You can always keep a wet edge on your concrete, but when you're pouring a flat slab, you definitely want to be mixing a little bit more volume. And it's not big enough to where you'd call in a concrete truck, from 2 hours away. So we're kind of at a little bit of an impasse. I was gonna maybe pour it in sections, but I want to make sure that the sections flow together good, because my plan is to run a flat shovel in there when I go to clean that out every time, and keep it sanitary for the birds, and put some we put dry grass and stuff like that in there, and that also makes good mulch, mixed with the chicken manure for your gardens.
Yeah, I recommend you go back and check out. He had some really interesting ideas of what he's got set up. So if you haven't seen those videos of the chicken coop progress, go look those up. We didn't start this channel until August, and so those are some of our very first videos, and I'm always really impressed with the things that he comes up with. He tends to come up with a lot of his own unique ideas, and something about the way you've got the whole drainage thing and what you're doing there.
That's a work in progress
cool.
too.
But it's the idea is just really cool. So you gotta go check it out.
It's not that impressive.
I'm impressed. And but yes, Mr. Rain did a lot of concrete mixing, because we replaced our whole fence, and he wanted, remember, rain country and wood means rot. So our fence was rotting, and if you drive around our area, you will see about half the people in this area have rotting fences, because
right.
it's a constant
6 inches up from the ground line and 6 inches below. There's about a foot there that gets weak.
And so he put in, when he rebuilt the fence, he put in 6x6s, and then poured concrete around. How far down did you bury them?
3 feet.
Okay, so, and then concrete around each one. So he was doing a lot of concrete mixing this last summer, a lot.
But you can keep a wet edge. Everything I did last year, you could keep a wet edge on it. But
and then doing that stem wall, that was more concrete, and so he got a lot of back massages with my homemade muscle rub, which one of these days I'll do a video on. But I've got quite a bit made up right now. But eventually I'm going to start running low, and I'm going to need to make some more. So I do make that with a cayenne pepper infused oil, and then I add essential oils, and I don't remember them all because I use a lot in there. I add pretty much everything, and it works really good. So it's good for sore muscles, it's good for achy joints, and anyway, so are we still okay? I'm kind of seeing.
Are we still live?
Yeah, it's kind of red here. Are we still going good, or did everybody drop out on us? Sorry, I'm seeing, if you're still there, I'm sorry. It just seems like it's all of a sudden it's dead, and I'm not seeing anything happen. Okay, well, I'll keep talking. Oh, here's a, yeah. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. There was a couple more things. Oh, and I'll say this now because sometimes once I get talking on a subject, yeah, see, all of a sudden there's just boom, boom, boom. How strange. Suburban, the rent-a-husband. Yeah, I've had a couple people talking about the rent-a-hubby
Hey,
program.
next subject.
Hey, it could be lucrative.
Anybody have a private jet or anything like that? That sounds like a pretty cool idea. Most of these people are back east.
Yeah. We could actually get some
Have
dry
to work for food.
But anyway, before I forget, don't remember to go on over to Brad and Krista, the Big Family Homestead. After us, they're doing their Tech Talk. I'm assuming they're still on, and then Full Spectrum Survival is on after they are. And also check out more shows on the Homestead Network. And again, there's shows, if you're new to this, there are shows every day of the week now. Some are in the morning. There's new shows being added all the time. Every single program has its own focus. It's we're all in different various stages of homesteading. Some have been doing it forever and they can do it all. Some are more like us, where we're kind of in the beginning stages of it and learning things as we go, and doing it in a small area. Some people haven't even started at all yet, and they're learning from the rest of us. And I love this network. Not just the people in the Homestead Network as far as doing the shows, but the people that come into the chats and all the other channels out there. It is so wonderful. I mean, really, what a great group of people all the way around, whether they're in the live shows or not. It's such a great group. I have learned tons from so many people, and I really appreciate it. And the interaction, I tell you, what a blessing this interaction has been to both of us, because sometimes you kind of start to feel a little bit alone, and I know a lot of you know exactly what I mean. So,
Teresa's not behaving herself.
Teresa, does she ever behave herself? But that's why we love her. So, I'm just kind of looking. It seemed like there was a couple. I just wrote these notes out. And I'm like, I don't know what they mean. And I'm sure you guys won't even be able to read my handwriting anyway. I have terrible handwriting. This is actually neat. And the light, you won't be able to see it. It's written in pencil. But, oh, doing things the hard way, ? Okay, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. So, some people in my videos think I'm a little bit crazy because I always do things the hard way. And sometimes, for me, it's because I've got myself in a habit of doing things a certain way and I never think to just try an easier way. And other times it's because I like doing the things. It just depends on what it is. I like doing things the hard way. I don't use an electric mixer. I don't have a KitchenAid, though many times I've gone back and forth going, oh, a KitchenAid would be nice. But I'm like, well, that kind of is going backwards when I'm trying to get myself to the point of having things that don't require electricity. And I like to knead bread by hand. I like stirring things by hand. And I do use a wire whisk frequently, but I just have yet to do a video on something where I would use a wire whisk. I like my big serving fork, and that's what I use. I had somebody say today, it's like, I keep wondering why you don't ever use a whisk. It would be a lot easier. Well, for some things it is, yes, I agree. But for some things, to me, I like my big fork. I'm just funny that way. I like filling my little capsules by hand, and I did look into filling the vitamin capsules. I looked at those little makers, some people recommended them. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm looking at them and I'm reading about them, and I'm like, no, I just don't think it's for me. I'll just keep filling them by hand. I've got a rhythm down, and it works for me. So, and I just kind of like the idea of being, if it ever came to the point where I was disabled enough where I couldn't do all these things, then yes, all these other things that make life easier, I definitely will be considering. But for now, I want to keep doing things as manually as possible, partly because it helps keep me in shape, it keeps me moving, and it keeps me familiar with how to do those things. I never want to lose touch with that. Just like I love my treadle machine, I love the fact that I can sew without electricity, and I'm getting exercise while I do it. And I've got in order, I have 7 aprons I've got to get done here, and a couple of skirts, those frontier skirts, and at least one of them is a patchwork skirt. Oh my goodness, those take a lot of time. So yeah, come on you guys, be nice. I know sometimes some of you guys are just playing, but keep it family friendly. Remember, sometimes there's kids watching, and and sometimes you just have to be careful. You never know how some people are going to take things, so just be respectful. That's all we ask. So, all right, we only got 2 more minutes.
Nope.
And hi, Bee Lady. I get to see you around in the chats every so often. Thank you, Carol. I love my frontier skirts. It's all I wear now. I was out stomping around, and see I'm wearing my skirt. It's so full I can pull it clear up to here. That's what I was stomping around on the property in. It got a little muddy on the bottom, but I had my good camo waterproof boots on under it, and I love my skirt. It was actually in a lot of ways easier than wearing the overalls, especially when I had to use the restroom out in the woods. So it was actually easier. Sorry, that was TMI. Anyway,
Next.
I think that was it. I think I covered all the topics I wanted to cover, and let's see.
Last minute question.
Any other questions real quick, because we need to stop. So don't forget to go to Brad and Krista's. By the time you see where we're at right now, they'll probably already be starting their show, so I don't want to do too much overlap. All right, thank you, T.
Thanks everybody for coming on in.
Okay, so we should probably stop and let Brad and Krista take over. So thanks for coming and being in our home with us and being a part of what?
I'm just gonna go stop in there with Brad and Krista there.
And don't forget Full Spectrum Survival after that.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, thank you everyone, and thank you to all our moderators, and yeah, God bless. What? Go ahead. I'm gonna stop streaming here in a minute.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.